Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Customer Persona Education for GT. So, this is me. My name is Bree, and I'm the RSD for GT Youth Attraction for AP, and I'm going to be your host for this session. A little bit about me. I was a member, team leader, and vice president in an LC called Timișoara. I am from Romania, currently 25 years old, and after my VP term, I was MCVP OG in OGT in for Thailand. And currently, I'm MCVP OG in OGT for Romania. Oh, so moving on. Let's see, what is a buy persona? Good. So when it comes to buy persona, keep in mind that this is the representation of your ideal customer. So think of like what is the ideal EP that you want to have or that you're having or your counters and so on. So think of like what is that makes that person ideal for your product. So yeah, basically this is what the customer persona means or buy persona. And yeah, it it answers the question of who's this product for. So if you know the answer, then that is your customer persona. So the more specific, the better, and it will lead you to the smallest viable market. What means smallest viable market is simply the market that will really buy your product, that you no doubt will have high chances in selling your product. So, and how will all this help me when it comes to operations? So once you know your customer persona, you will create online and offline attraction strategy that is, targeted. So you won't waste time promoting your product to somebody that will eventually not buy it or was not interested from the very beginning. So you are putting your resources in the right place. You have a better sales speech because you know exactly what the customer wants, and you can also improve your lead nurturing because again, you know almost everything about that customer, so you know also exactly what to give to that customer so that you keep him happy. And yeah, moving on. These are like the 6 main steps that you need to walk through in order to have your customer persona. So first would be to gather data. Afterwards, you do your assumption creation. Then you have your customer interviews or surveys, and then you consolidate what you just found out about your customer. And lastly, you're gonna validate, finalize, and then all you have to do is to implement this. But we go now step by step and see what we have to do more in depth. So first and foremost, like you need to gather data. You need to gather data that is numerical, and you can gather data from all kind of sources. For example, from data files, or you can use Excel. You can use social media analytics, Google Analytics, or any other kind of data that could help you in this regard. And for GT, what I think is pretty cool is that if you have a CV bank or your predecessor had and it's still there, you can kind of like see what your customer personas were in the past. So you, based on the CVs, you can see like where they studied, where they worked, what kind of skills they have, and so on, where they come from. Yeah. So use the CVs in your favor. So later on, you have the assumption creation, which is basically, okay, you saw all the data and what kind of like ideas can you already withdraw from the data you just viewed. And you have also here the framework for it. So it's basically like some questions, and you just put there like what you already got about your customer, and then you can already have a sensing of what is that your customers are like, and you put your assumptions based on the primary goals and not demographics. So it's more like what do they actually want to get from this product, right? And not just the age or like where they come from, gender, and so on. Cool. But what you need to do basically is just to answer the questions that you will find in the framework, and you press here, and then you have good. Now the next step would be to have the interviews. So what you need to do for the interviews is to obviously prepare yourself, and then also choose your interviewee. So you need to have people that chose to buy your product, people that decided to not buy it, and people that bought from the competitors. So yeah, why this? So what is exactly that makes your product attractive for the people. You know exactly what is the pain or what is the issue with your product that people didn't like want to continue with the process. And then you also know like, okay, what is that your competitor does that you don't, right? So, and then you have your interview. Is better to have like a one-to-one kind of interview, and make sure that it doesn't last a lifelong. So make it short, 20 minutes should be fine for it. Cool. So what is customer interview? It's basically having the insights of your customers. And as mentioned before, it's better to have like a one-to-one kind of customer interview rather than just doing something like I don't know, like having a group interviewing. But if you choose although to go like for a group interview, make it small. The reason for it is that when you're having too many people interviewed at the same time, it can happen that they influence each other. So doing one by one, they kind of give you more like an honest answer to your questions. Cool. So next, what you need to do is to review your open-ended answers from the interviews. Right. So see um, if you get like the overall picture of like the answers you got there, and if you find common ones, try to group them so it makes your life easier. For example, there's people that said, oh, I like to travel, or oh, I like to visit new places, or oh, I want to discover something new. It's basically just, okay, it's traveling. So people are interested in traveling. And you're going to list down all these tags once you group them. And um, then you put this tag to each one of your questions so that you have the tag, and then you also have how often this tag appears, right? So then you have like a clear picture of, okay, this is the tag traveling, and 10 people out of 100 said that they like to travel, basically. So that's what you gonna note down. So, and lastly, take your analyzed data from customer interviews and choose your top 3 major tags of primary goals. So what is that your customer want to do? And match the tags with the persona assumption. Remember in the beginning you had this assumption of, okay, what do you think that your customers want? And now you actually get also data to back you up even more on that assumption. And yes, then what you have to do is fill out the consolidated data from customer interviews and design your customer persona. So just to kind of like recap, check any data that you can gather and come up with some conclusions. Prepare for your interview. Add the questions in a spreadsheet, Google form, type form. Like I said, It doesn't have to be necessary interview. It can also be a survey. So you can do this also in like a written format and give it to your EPs and tell them to fill it out. So you have, let's say, you can cover more EPs in or more customers in a short time, especially if you don't have that much HR to actually do these interviews. Okay, group similar answers into text, and then also count how many answers are having this tag, and then consolidate the output. Cool. And here, some extra thing besides this is that you also have an empathy mapping, and you just group what like your customer says, thinks, does, and feels, so you can have like a deeper understanding of your customer. Um, it's something to give you more insight of like the customer's behavior. You can use it or you can just leave it aside. Um, Maybe it's just like a way to, I don't know, like connect with your customer a little bit more. But as I said, it's up to you if you want to use this thing in addition or not. So by the end of your journey in consolidating customer personas, you will have something like this. Okay, so if you don't have enough customers to do your customer persona, or like you don't have time or resources or anything, you can always go with the global ones, which I recommend because it's usually you're not going to find something all too different from these. But still, it's highly recommended for you to have your own so you understand exactly how to deal with your customer in your local area. Oh, and something quite interesting is that you can also give your customer persona a name. So you don't refer to it as, the customer persona, but you refer to it as, I don't know, Edu or Karen or something. So that's the person that you're going to refer to when speaking about how to do your marketing strategy, campaigns, and everything else. Good. So to kind of like highlight um, customer personas, I want you to think of like how do you see people that work at Microsoft and how do you see people that work at YouTube? For me personally, when I think of people that work at Microsoft, I'm envisioning more that serious person, more like professional type of person. Whereas like YouTube, I see more like a creative person. Like I would definitely put a bit more emphasis on creativity and rather than professionalism. I mean, like both of them are professional, but still, I see Microsoft as being a bit more like serious. So yeah, and more like in corporate side, and yeah, because they all work with this um, in this field. And yeah, when it comes to WWF and like I said, then um, like both of them are like organizations, but one of them, that you will find in that particular NGO, you will find people that are highly interested in climate change. Whereas like on the other hand, on ISEC, in ISEC, you're gonna find more people. I mean, you will find the people that are interested in leadership, right? And WWF can be for people of various ages, whereas like ISEC is only for youth. So, how you can use your customer personas in collaborating with IGT. So, maybe you have noticed that sometimes your EPs are being rejected, although they are quite good. So, why this happens is that sometimes their persona doesn't really match the organizational culture in the company. So sometimes they can be really qualified, but they're not, let's say, very, I don't know, energetic, creative, like how the company will like is looking for. So yeah, and this is something that you need to communicate with your IR so that you understand what is that the company is looking for when they're hiring someone. So think of, okay, how is that company, and if your EP is matching the culture of the company. Okay. Mm, okay. And your and then I put there like NGOs, universities, and faculties. They can be, let's say, like groups of your customer persona. So you can find um, your customer persona in NGOs, universities, faculty specifically, and you can use this in your favor to work with your IR. Good. So then what is next is that um, you can also split your persona based on some product to make it a bit more focused. Okay. And later on, how you can use again your customer personas in your favor is that once you know them, you can have your marketing done more precisely. You know where your customer is online most of the time. You know what your customer wants to see, and you know what your customers want to live for this product, and what are their pains and what they want as gains. Um, Also, whether they like to receive images or videos, or what kind of images or what kind of videos. For example, maybe some are attracted more to images that show, I know, professionalism, whether others like images where it's a bit more colorful. So yeah, it all depends on what your customer wants. And you can also create partnerships and attend the right events. For example, I attended an event that was about tech. So I knew that if I go to that event, I'm going to have people interested in technology. And then I could also kind of like draw some, let's say, some assumptions. And based on my talks with the people there, I kind of like knew what people in the IT industry like want. Okay. As for finance, because you know how to do marketing and where to put your efforts in, you know also where to put your like investment in, so they have the highest return of investment, right? And the same goes with your HR, because you know where to send your members so that you have most, let's say, signups or anything that can contribute to more exchange. And at the same time, you can also educate your members how to do, how to deal with your customer persona. Yeah, I mean, like your customer, because it's more niched, so it will be a bit simpler for them to understand as well, and it will bring most of the results. So if you have any questions, feel free to approach me, right? So, and yeah, that was it for this session. And I'm Ricky, your RST for GT Youth Attraction. And yep, hope to see you again.